somebody say something about don't miss it.
Oh, I can't.
Be there.
Listen, be there because tonight it was on fire.
Who's the guy that did this back in the right?
That could have been several. Ladies and gentlemen, me and Mick Strawn have already been talking. We're in a pro wrestling. So, like I said, I got to give a big thank you to Mick. Mick was one of my first guests that I've ever had on a Wild Time podcast. And
hey, you got to start somewhere.
Hey, well, no, listen. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 is one of my favorite movies of all time. The scenery, everything about it. And when I found out that I was going to have the man on that was the set designer for that movie, I was in paradise. But anyways, guys, I've got Mick Strawn on again. Thanks for tuning in. Go hit the subscriptions and likes. Thank Bo's Tractor Works, the CBD cream, the only CBD cream that legitimately works that I have seen. If you've got aches and pains and arthritis and just the run of the mill as you get older stuff, this will take care of all that. So, like I said, the man who was responsible for so many great sets and ideas in the 80s and 90s, and even still today, we have something really cool to talk about with Mick. Mick, what's been happening, my man?
Well, I've had a busy year, but it's funny. You were kind of talking about wrestling there for a minute, but before we came on, and I teased to you one of my favorite wrestling stories. I was working on a film called Suburban Commandos.
Hogan, yeah, Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk
Hogan. Well, the thing is Hulk Hogan had been through a string of injuries on his shoulders and stuff.
Yeah.
And he had a signature move, right? Which was
yeah.
Which is, of course, as you did point out, that's about everybody's signature move in wrestling.
Right.
But his was really prevalent, and they needed it for the movie, but he couldn't do it because he had these injuries in his shoulders. So I was called to set. I know this is going to sound so strange. So I'm called to set, and it's literally on a sidewalk, like down in LA, right?
Right.
And I go, well, yeah. What do you need? And the stunt coordinator comes up. And he goes, well, we have a problem here. This is kind of a rigging problem. And I go, a rigging problem, okay? He says, thing is we need Hulk Hogan to do this. I go, okay. As far as I've been able to tell, it's something that he does probably in his freaking sleep. Because, well, here's the problem. We've had a lot of injuries, and I think that this was actually his manager talking. Well, we've had a lot of injuries. Managers are like we, right? Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he was getting busted up, but I knew who was, right? And he goes, I go, well, so let me get this straight. Because he didn't even want to actually admit it, right? I said, you need him to go like this, and he can't go like this, right?
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. I go, okay, well, I'm going to need some monofilament, some heavy monofilament. Actually, I think I wound up using piano wire.
Really?
And literally, we put a couple of sweatbands on his wrists. And underneath that, I made rings, basically out of tape, layers of tape, made rings, tied the wire to it, and then had a scissors lift. One of those scissors lift that has an offset arm on it like this. So give me a scissors lift down here. And so we drove the scissors lift over him, and I puppeted his arms.
Wow.
So I actually puppeted Hulk Hogan.
So Hulk Hogan had some really bad injuries during the filming of Suburban Commando.
Not during the filming, at the very end of it. That was in between seasons, and the thing, and I think that he had just injured himself, right?
Yeah.
And so the acting was fine, but when he had to go do this, he couldn't do it. So I made a puppet out of him, and know, I was up here.
Being a professional wrestler myself, I know how you've got to do that. It's everybody, every good guy does that, just to hulk up on the crowd, I mean,
you got to do it, right?
Yeah, everybody.
And
I mean,
so it was the really critical. It was the he's going to take care of the bad guys, right?
Yes.
And so he had to do that at the beginning. So we did it as a cutaway. And
Suburban Commando. Quick story about that one. That was one of the first movies that my mom took me to.
Am I frozen or are you frozen?
I think we're
Hello.
good. Hello.
We're back.
Okay. Yeah, Suburban Commando. That was one of the first movies I seen in a theater, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I did a lot of the propage for it, and all the little guns and the freeze guns and stuff like that. I did all that stuff.
So The Undertaker was in that movie before he was even a big name wrestler. He was one of the bounty hunters that was after Hogan from Spain.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. But hey, listen, you've got some cool stuff lined up, Mick. I'd like to talk about that first because we've got Pig Hill, we've got Sawtooth. Well,
you mentioned RA, right?
Yeah.
Well, RA about in August a year ago. That's how fast this happened. August a year ago, RA and I are at a convention, and he goes, I need you to come on, and we're going to get together with Jeff Burr.
Yeah,
Jeff Burr's going to direct, and you and I and Jeff Burr are going to be back together again, and we're going to do this film called Pig Hill. And he was an executive producer, and there was a local woman that wrote about a particular hill up in this place called Meadville, Pennsylvania, that pigs and humans were supposed to have mixed somehow, right? And so that became Pig Hill. Unfortunately, Jeff Burr got a little bit ill at the beginning of it and couldn't direct, and then he just recently passed away.
I know, and I hate that because I was at Scarefest, and I was actually helping RA get down to one of the convention rooms where he was talking. It was supposed to be him and Brett Wagner together, and they were just going to do a Leatherface, like a shoot. I don't know, just like a little session. And one of the reporters down there asked him about Jeff, and man, you talk about it broke him down. I mean, he was visibly upset, and I met Jeff up at Days of the Dead in Indianapolis in 2012, and he gave my son was like 2, and I didn't dress up as Leatherface, and Jeff gave me one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre posters, and he wrote a long thing about and I've got
I have to say that Jeff he had been a dear friend of mine since Chainsaw, right?
Yeah.
And I actually worked on a couple other films for him. And in all honesty, there just was not a nicer guy out in the business.
Yeah.
I mean, just absolutely in the business. He gave his talents to everybody. He did classes, for no pay, just to try, and the guy was a walking encyclopedia of film.
Wow.
I mean, he knew absolutely every motion picture that's ever been made. And boy, I gotta tell you something. For a couple of weeks after he died, I was beside myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the thing, he was a lot younger than I am.
I didn't realize how young he was. I thought he was older than what he was.
Now he's 60 years old. Yeah. I'm 7 years older than he is.
I didn't realize how young he was when he made Chainsaw. I mean, that was.
He was a young pup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to go off on. I just have to say that that to me this will always be the year that Jeff died. I mean, just amazing. So anyway, so we did with RA, and we got Kevin Lewis to direct. Kevin Lewis is he did Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I seen
With
Charlie
Nicolas Cage.
So was that the one where Nicolas Cage was? That wasn't where he was working in the restaurant, was it?
He's working. He's cleaning up. He's cleaning up a old kid's. Yeah, like a kid's. It's not a restaurant, but it's kids' playland, right?
Right, like a playhouse deal.
Yeah. And Kevin was the director of that, and that is one of the recent movies that I really like a lot.
I heard a lot of people brag on that film.
Oh, I can totally understand it. It was excellent, and Kevin was just such a good director. I mean, this film is just going to be it's absolutely terrifying for one thing. It is terrifying. It's very stylized. It's kind of like got a lot of misdirection in it and that sort of thing. And it is a good film.
I'm excited, man. I mean, just the details takes me back to, I mean, it's just something I would fall in love with right now in my alley. So I'm excited, man. Pig Heel.
Yeah. Have you seen that? You saw the poster that I posted, right?
Right. Yeah. I
so
earlier.
So I mean, I don't want to really get in and give anything away, but boy, take it from me. It is definitely, it kind of reminds me, it is such a high quality job, and it's really got such a great it reminds me of some of the stuff that we were kind of doing with New Line Cinema way back in the 80s.
Yes, that's kind of what I'm excited. That's what when you were describing it to me, that was the images I got. That was what I kind of
that's what I'm saying is of course it is very modern. It's a very modern film, but it still has that kind of a gritty. I mean, there's no opticals or anything in it. It's just really gritty, but still magical.
Right.
Let's just say that I got to express myself as a production designer rather evilly in several places. So
I'm excited. I'm very excited for that. And I mean, you've got is RA, he's playing in it also, you say?
RA is in it, and he's just his role is so great. And you just got to be there. He's a pig, an old-fashioned pig skinner,
Oh man, that is awesome. That is awesome. So I'm more excited about that.
That's all I have to say. Is it gets weirder from there. So
when will this come out?
It's probably going to be out maybe early next year.
Okay, so we've got that to look forward to, guys. I mean, that's
that is going to be absolutely a treat. Absolutely a treat. Yeah.
And that's not the only thing you've got lined up right now we're going to talk about.
Well, I co-directed it with Jeremy Brown. Jeremy Brown and I did Vengeance together. Vengeance, Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
Vengeance,
Jason. Yeah.
Which was a really, really popular film. I mean, it's amazing for a fan film. It showed about 2.5 million downloads, which for a fan film is pretty interesting. Right?
I had Darcy DeMoss on, and the director, and also he played Jason in the Vengeance 2. I had them on right after. I think
that's Vengeance 2, right? Yeah.
And man, it was popular at the time. Never Hike Alone kind of opened that door for the fan-made Friday the 13th films, and people really dug their teeth into them.
Oh yeah. Ours is better.
I can't.
Never Hike Alone. I mean, come on.
Well,
I was involved. Hey, I was involved.
You're always hitting home runs, Mick. So I mean,
you know what? I'm not humble. but I have a lot of reasons not to be.
Hey, how's your puppy dog doing? I forgot to ask.
Oh, Toby. Oh, he's wandering around back there. He likes to like come to the door and look at me and go, "Why aren't you paying attention?"
Oh, I've got a beagle. It's the same way, buddy.
Oh, I mean, the thing is literally every evening he's on my lap, and he's got to have. Look, I'll tell you a secret. It's just between you and me.
Gotcha.
Just between you and me. The damn dog eats on my lap.
Really?
I have to hold the bowl, and he has to have those little metal bowls, right?
Yeah.
And I have to hold it at the right angle, and he will deny me several times. He'll go, "Oh, no," and he pushes it away with his nose, like, "No, we're not ready yet. No. Then all of a sudden, it's like I'll hold it, and he'll go like, "Oh, I'm gonna push it away. No, I'm gonna let you off the hook here, and I'll eat it, right?" Like, oh Jesus.
Oh, it's my little beagle will come up. I'll be eating, and he'll jump up like a kid and look at me and just start clawing at my arm, wanting something out of my plate. I mean, he's childlike. It's.
Oh yeah. Oh, right. Mine. Toby pulls the worst. He likes to sit on my chair when I'm doing something else. Like maybe working around or painting or something like that. And he will sit on my chair and he'll shiver. He will physically goes like this and looks up at me with the big eye thing, It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah. I mean, that turned you into a softie, I'm telling you.
Yeah. It makes you want to just scrunch him up, but
I'm the same way. Mine kicks me out of the bed. He sleeps in.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Mine. You've seen Toby, 12 pounds, and he has a way of just working it.
Yes. I mean, I'm 6'2", 275, and my dog is like 34 pounds.
Exactly.
We have a king size bed, and I end up, I have a sleep CPAP machine, and it's usually around my head, and he's pushed me off, and I'm like, how can a dog, a little
exactly. How can they do that? So anyway, so Solitude is coming out. So Jeremy Brown and I are doing it again. I did more of the actual directing of this one.
Yeah.
A little bit more of like the casting and working with it that way. And we just work really well together.
That's awesome.
So it's basically it's a takeoff of the Alone show.
Mm-hmm.
The ones where the guys go into everybody goes out into the wilderness and like who
like Survivor or something.
Yeah, who lives the longest before tapping out, right?
I got you.
They're given like 10 things and so we've done kind of a half that and half kind of a maybe a supernatural thing.
Yeah.
But you don't know, things could get weird.
I hope so.
So yeah, no, it's been a very busy year, and my books are still selling. If anybody wants a book,
that's what I was going to say. How could they get a hold of one of your books? Because it is an awesome book. Yes,
they have to get a hold of me. They literally have to. You can get on Facebook Messenger and leave me a message. And I don't want to make it easy for anybody. It's not on Amazon,
right?
Because that would make it way too easy. You have to find me. But at the same time, I have to say that I have been to the mailbox, to the post office. For 14 days I was down there every day with a book. Right. It was like every time I would walk out of it, somebody else would track me down. I'm like, Jesus Christ, people, I'm not making this hard enough for you.
I know at Scarefest you had them for sale there.
Well, that's the one of the reasons that I wrote the book was for one thing, you never hear deeper stories about, especially about Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 3. You don't hear the deep behind the scenes stories like you do about everything these days.
Right.
You know, because then, you know, it was very, it was kind of, it wasn't cool to like be telling stories like, you know, about what's going on in the background. So all the stories that got out were kind of like the stars and the actors and like their interaction with the director and stuff like that. And that shit's just boring.
Yeah.
You know, the shit that's interesting is making complicated shows like that happen in the background. And that's my job. And what I did in my job, you know, in behind the screens is tell the story of all the people and all the props, the front office, every effects person, you know, interviewed. There's 50 pieces of 50 people's interviews in there that are all arranged in kills, you know.
Man. And Nightmare on Elm Street, man, has got such a fan base. I mean, it's a cult almost. I mean, you've got a lot of people that love the behind the scenes, Never Sleep Again. I mean, there's so many cool behind the scenes things. I mean, I mean, I know I'm going against type here. I actually wrote a book, and I'm 100% sure that, you know, only 80% of the people who are fans of the Nightmares can read. So I was taking risks. So oh, we may have to edit that one.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm trying to buck a trend here.
Oh, shoot.
So now, before I go away, you wanted to hear a story about
I have two questions. I have two questions for you, actually. The first thing was, did you come up with Leatherface's costume, the whole in part 3? Were you the designer of that?
The mask. It was between K&B came up with the original of it, and then I took scissors and modified it and cut it up.
I remember you said you used buffalo skin from Dances with Wolves set or something, didn't you?
Well, no, here's the weird thing. The weird thing about it, you see, I went down. So, okay, this is a great TCM 3 story because even RA talks about going in for fittings for some of his stuff, going in for a fitting and not being able to park because there were buffalo parked everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Because they were doing K&B was doing all the buffaloes for Dances with Wolves.
Yeah.
So I go in one day and I had to park 2 blocks away. And literally there was nothing anywhere but buffalo, right?
Yeah.
And in various stages of being skinned and standing and skinned and oh God. And so I open up the door and all I can see is a sea of buffalo, and I start to kind of move in between them, and there's a table there with a guy sitting at it, and he's got the mask, you know, for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, okay, well, there you go. That's okay. So I sit down and I look at it, and it's more even than they have been.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that. I didn't like that they left eyelids on and stuff like that. And so I said to him, the guy is sitting there, he says, yeah, I was just supposed to show this to you, and then you were going to check off on it. And I go, okay. I said, bring me a pair of scissors. He goes, scissors? What would you do with a pair of scissors? And I go, I'm a production designer. You're a flunky. Go get me a pair of scissors.
Yeah. So
he did. When he came back with the scissors, I said, I wouldn't cut it up. And then I just cut it up. I cut it up into pieces, and I cut all they had literally cast all the threads into it. And then I cut all those pieces out, and I said, now you're going to really sew it up with sinew or the closest thing you can get.
Yeah.
We could always use your guts. And I want it sewn back together, and I gouged just these huge holes. And that's the way that it stayed.
Man, that is pretty cool. I mean, and I always thought there was like a darker part right here too than and
Yeah.
the rest of the mask. I thought that was neat. Pretty cool little deal there.
You know, it's like maybe I wasn't as political as I could be, but I really didn't have much time, and it seemed that maybe they're the focus of K&B, and I love these guys, I really do, but it might have been. It's pretty apparent that it wasn't that show. Because you know what? We didn't have one buffalo in our show.
Wow. Hey, and another thing before last chainsaw question, Leatherface's room where he stayed and played the little computer and stuff. Did you design that room?
Yeah, we built it.
So what was some of the things? What was some of the things that you added into that room? Because if I'm not mistaken, I may have seen a Santa Claus.
We were trying to, you know, what we were trying to do is we were trying to make it look like the one thing I was trying a particular show to be overt. I didn't want it to be super obviously the house to super obviously be that, you know. I mean, you walked in and you saw all these mysterious weird shapes, and we weren't trying to make things look like anything. We were trying to avoid that, you know. Like shining a light through a jar of pickled eggs can be pretty disgusting, right?
Yeah.
You don't know what that is, right? You know, so that's the kind of, you know, I used to describe, I said, the look of this film is going to be that thing that scares you out that you can't see out of the corner of your eye. And that's how that film feels to me.
I love that. I feel 100% the same way, because I'll notice little things. Like you said, when the mom, it looks like she's eating pickled eggs or bologna or something, when she's got the thing and she's eating it. I mean, that's just, I mean, it's genius.
See, you know, it could be pig knuckles.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is it's how you see it. You know, it's not what it is. It's what you see it as. And what I wanted is I wanted the camera to come around the corner and there to be this weird kitchen, this weird commercial duty kitchen,
A modern kitchen. Yeah.
Just this weird, you know, like it was like, you know, came from the back of a restaurant, right? You know, that's because these people process people, right? You know, so the thing is you wanted it to be kind of offhand and you know, oh, never mind, the body's over here. Step into the parlor, you know.
I thought.
So we were doing that with the garage. You know, I wanted some things in there that would be things that, you know, that your dad would have in the garage that he'd take out once a year, right? You know,
that was awesome, man. And I love that because, like you said, man, you wanted it to look, you wanted little things to stick out. And in that movie, there's a lot of little things that stick out.
Yeah, that's it. Like the other thing is I remember that we went through a lot of trouble to we would take the light as you're looking at the light up here, that we kept putting bugs in it that were alive, right? And we put them in there and shut it. And the thing is the light bulb had to be pretty bright because it's a movie light bulb, right? So it would fry them every take, and we'd have to take it back down, dump them out, and put some more bugs in there.
That's too cool, man. I'm a sucker for a good Chainsaw 3 story or a behind. That's my franchise, I guess you would say. So it's always good to get that out of you. And you do owe me from last year a good Boogie Night story. You said when you came back on around my birthday, which is a few days from now, you was going to give it to me.
I'll see if I can do this at all short because we don't want to go too long. So I originally got the show Boogie Nights without having any idea what Boogie Nights was going to be, right? You know, I mean, So did I tell you the story about the thing in the bag?
No.
No. Okay. So I come into the office over at FTX Effects, and that was kind of where, in between designing things, I would work with FTX Effects, or actually all kinds of different effects companies around town, and I would key jobs, right?
Right.
So I walked in and they said, "Hey, we got one for you. Here's the script. Jam across town because the production meeting is starting right now." I was like, "Oh shit, okay." So I grabbed the meeting, grabbed the address, go across town. Okay. Now, if you haven't read the script
Right.
to a film, there was a procedure. If you happen to come on right at the time that the production meeting was,
Yeah.
there was this thing that people did, that you would take the script that you had, then you would grab, because there'd always be a pile of them at the door, right?
Yeah.
So you grab one out the door and you take this one, right? And so I'd lay it out there. And the thing is the first AD, you got 40 people around you, and the first AD, you're around this big table, and the first AD is reading the script, and he stops at every shot, and he says, "So how are we going to do this? Who's going to do what?" Right? And we would parse the shot out, right?
Yeah.
That's a production meeting. That's so that's going on, and I get this, and I'm like, we're on page 2, right? So that's great. Okay. So what you do if you're late is you get the other script that you got, and you start reading ahead, right? As fast as you possibly can. So you're trying to get a couple of pages ahead, so that you can have like a little bit of a clue what's going on. I think I'm like on page 9 or something like that, and it's Dirt Diggler drops his pants, revealing his enormous 12-inch dick. And I did this. I went, and I look around. And the guy that's right across from me is a prop master. And he's worked with me before. And then he goes like this. He looks at me in the eye and he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "And here it is." And he reaches down and he brings up this paper bag, right?
Right.
He's got this paper bag, and now he's got everybody's attention. And he flops it down, in between him and me. And he just reaches into the bag and pulls it aside, right?
Right.
And I'm like, okay, wow, what the hell is that, right? I was, and all of a sudden I realized that I wasn't in Kansas anymore, right?
Yeah.
So later on, one of the shots that we had to do you remember the really long shot in Boogie Nights where Bill Macy drives up in his car, camera's right behind him, and goes all the way through the party?
Yeah, the suicide scene.
Goes down a hallway, opens the hallway, sees his wife banging a porn star, right?
Yeah.
Goes back out, gets his gun, comes back in, opens the door and shoots them. Boom, boom, boom. 3 shots, right?
Right.
Well, here's the thing. If you're going to shoot somebody and they're naked, so what you have to do is you have to use these things that were called staring guns back then, which is a little wax pellet that's got a little bit of blood-colored food coloring in it. Right?
Yeah.
And essentially it's hooked to a compressor, and you just go, and the wax goes out and hits you here or there, and being as it's wax, it just disintegrates, right?
Yeah.
They were really finicky, right? So basically what we had to have 3 hits, boom, 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 because it was one continuous shot.
Yeah.
Right? So that little tiny room, which was a laundry room, right?
Right.
So there's the washer and the dryer. He's banging her on the dryer, right?
I didn't even, I thought they were just in the bed. I didn't know that it was actually a laundry room.
No, here's the thing. This is the way that it was. This is the way that it was shot, right?
Yeah.
So so he's banging her on the washer, right?
Yeah.
And the door is right here that literally Bill Macy has to come through that door the second time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's all in one shot. It was like a 9-minute shot, right?
Yeah.
So let me tell you something. That's a complicated thing. And so I was sitting right on the other side of the door with two other people. I'm the one that's closest to the door. This guy in front of me is a porn star. She was a porn star.
Nina Hartley.
This guy, what?
It was Nina Hartley.
Yeah, Nina Hartley, right?
Yeah.
So they're fucking, right? For 16 hours. 16 fucking hours. That guy was hung like a goddamn building. I'm telling you, I watched that dick go in and out so many times. And you know, after a while, it didn't even become anything. I mean, after a while, it just didn't mean anything, right?
Right.
I'd sit on my ass, and he didn't come through the door the second time until 16 hours later.
So you had to sit in misery and watch it the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time. and then boom, boom. And here's the thing, is then they cut out of it in the actual film, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They cut out of it in the film. And so I told this story about 2 years ago. I had a guy call me up, and he goes, "Hey, I'm writing a book about Boogie Nights." Well, why the hell anybody would write a book about Boogie Nights? I don't know, but you know, there's a movie called Boogie Nights, right? So he's writing a book about Boogie Nights. I tell him this story, and he's like, okay. 2 months later, he calls me back up. He says, "Okay, I finally interviewed Nina Hartley." He says, "Holy shit. You everything you said was absolutely true." I go, "Yeah, right. I know."
Oh man. And the scene where they're at the drug dealer's house, was you behind
Yes, 1,000 hits. That's 1,000 bullet hits.
Really?
1,000 ST-100 hits drilled into every part of every piece of furniture, every piece of wall, every painting, every table, every lamp. It literally took us 3 days to rig that set.
Wow.
And then we had to put it on 3 separate boards, 33 nail boards, right?
Yeah.
And so we did this. The really weird thing is when it was in a really funky part of town.
Yeah.
And just as we were rolling, there was a drive-by shooting next to us. So the thing is I think that one of the guys actually fired one shot off, and we were all yelling, "Hold it, you know, because the way that you remember that you're in it is somebody fights and you start firing, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought that was an amazing job. You know, it's a 3-day rig to make all those bullet hits set up.
Oh, you were the set. I mean, did you do that? I mean, the swimming pool, the whole house, the mansion, and everything. Like Burt Reynolds' mansion. You were
we were no. That was a set. That particular house was a set.
Oh, okay.
The other thing that we did is we rigged the Corvette to have an accident and have a bunch of bullet hits go off on it, right?
Oh, okay.
And the thing is because of the laws the way they are, is the way they were in California, you couldn't use radio to make a squib go off, right?
Yeah.
So we had a little tiny effects guy that was actually my boss. And we made it so that he could steer the car from in that little pocket behind the seats. And he steered the car and as it was driving in the right direction, he had a little mirror that was up there, a little denim mirror that he was looking at, and he steers the car. But the funny thing is that when we rigged the car, it took us about a week and a half to rig the car, and you could take it out for a ride down the street. He did it several times. He was, and we were right on the main drag of the valley.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So he'd go dragging. He'd be taking that Corvette and just going right down the road, down in Studio City, right to Ventura Boulevard, right down. Boy, it was hilarious.
And I'll tell you, Boogie Nights is one of my favorite movies. A guy, one of my best friends, Garrett Newsom, we laugh about it all the time, and we work with a bunch of guys, and we always compare and contrast who we work with would be what character in Boogie Nights. I know he's going to enjoy this story a lot. And I'm always
imagine what it was like to get onto that on the first day and not have any idea what it was about.
That is insane. You had no clue.
I really didn't. I really had no clue at all. And the thing is the big divider between porn and a movie was the dick.
Yeah.
Right. So when that dick came out, you were like, when the dick came up in the meeting, I was like, is this like a really sophisticated porn that I got on or something?
I wonder who ended up with that thing.
It was a good time had by all, I have to say. It was quite right.
Do you know who ended up with the penis?
I have no idea.
I'd say it's on eBay right now for a lot of money. I would say
it probably is. I mean, I'm not a collector of stuff, to tell you the truth. I'm a collector of stories.
Well, hey, listen, I got to thank you for being on, Mick. My goodness, you've knocked it out of the home, knocked a home run again on here, telling some great stories. Listen, we need to do a trilogy on down the line. We're looking forward to Pig Hill and Solitude with you, man, and just all the stories. My goodness.
We'll knock them all out, man.
That's it. Mick, thanks for coming on. Everybody subscribe and like to Adam Newsom 84 on YouTube. And Mick, how can they check you out, my man, on social media?
You know what? I'm an old guy, so I only hang out on Facebook. Actually, I'm on Instagram somewhere, but I don't even know how that works.
Right.
I've got more people to follow me on Instagram than I even understand. But you can, if you can message me, don't send in a friend request, because I'm way behind on those.
Yeah.
And I think I'm already at 5,000 or something. But if you can send me a message, I can always get you a book, and the book is well worth it.
Oh, it is. And I mean, everybody that's a Nightmare on Elm Street fan has that book. So, Mick, thank you for coming on, my man, and can't wait for Pig Hill and Solitude, dude.
Oh, there you go, man. We're gonna crush it.
Yes,
okay, but
I can't wait. I can't wait to promote it. Hey, don't be a stranger, and we'll see you on down the road, buddy.
Okay, man. Later.
See you, Mick.